welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. When Prime Minister Modi made a surprise Christmas Day visit to Lahore last December, it was seen as a turning point in the India-Pakistan relationship, one that could mark a big step forward in resuming the dialogue process. But then Pathankot happened, and since then, the India-Pakistan relationship has seen a downward spiral. The recent violence in Jammu and Kashmir has only added to the tensions, with Pakistan provoking repeatedly and India hitting back. Sushma Swaraj, in fact, launched a scathing attack on Nawaz Sharif personally only last week, the same Sharif that Prime Minister Modi was hugging only months earlier. Therefore, it came as a surprise to many that Home Minister Rajnath Singh is going to travel to Pakistan next week for a SAARC Home Ministers meeting. It may be a multilateral forum, but the Home Minister's presence is very significant, and sources say India will be raising all issues related to terrorism. Is India keeping the door open for dialogue? Joining us on the program tonight, former Secretary KC Singh, Sambit Patra of the BJP, Shehzad Chaudhry, a strategic affairs expert from Pakistan, joins us as well. Ambassador KC Singh, to you first. Should we see this purely as a multilateral visit, as the Ministry of External Affairs tried to play it as today? Or would you say that it is significant that Rajnath Singh is representing India at this meeting and not the Minister of State for Home?
No, it's an important SAARC meeting, and we must remember out of the 8 members of SAARC, 2 others, Bangladesh and Afghanistan particularly, are victims of terror, and one of them again terror perpetrating from Pakistan. And this is the 4th meeting, I think. It started in 2004, and the Home Ministers focus on terror. This has always been a subject, and regrettably, even though there is a regional convention on suppressing terror, since 1987, Pakistan signed it with alacrity then, because we were busy fighting Soviet Union and Afghanistan. But that's been more or less a dead instrument. There's an additional protocol also. Pakistan does not abide by it. So it's a great forum where you rally other members of the SAARC with you and give Pakistan a lecture. There's no reason at all to consider this as a bilateral visit. And I think the focus should be on the very agenda that Home Ministers have followed in the past, and on Pakistan abiding by regional understandings dating to 2 decades ago.
But would you say, Ambassador Singh, that it does also keep a window open for dialogue, a window that I must say has never been shut by the government either, because you haven't had any formal suspension of anything. But we are seeing that the BSF and the Pakistani Rangers have had a meeting. The Coast Guards of the 2 countries have met. You have the Home Minister going there, and we are told that even though it is a multilateral meeting, a bilateral meeting is not being entirely ruled out by the Home Ministry at this point. It could still happen. Therefore, do you think it's an important signal as well that India is not shutting the door on dialogue? Because that is important, and I would say certainly constructive.
Look, India has made it a precondition that Pakistan, now earlier it used to be 2611, now it's Pathankot, that they have to do something on it, and they really haven't done it. And over the last many months, Pakistani Prime Minister, we know, has been ailing literally and figuratively, and he has less and less influence on what is done there. So as a result, it provides you a very low profile way of engaging Pakistan quietly on the sidelines without really raising any expectations and gauging exactly what's happening there. Certainly it's an opportunity, but I wouldn't call it as a great movement on bilateral matters. But this is how diplomacy moves. It can't always be in the public domain with entire focus on it. Focus on the forum, bring to everybody's attention, other 7 members, that Pakistan must abide by past commitments and international conventions and Security Council resolutions, and at the same time reach out to them quietly and see what they have to say.
Shehzad Chaudhry, how is Rajnath Singh's visit then being looked at in Pakistan? And would you agree with Ambassador KC Singh here that it must be then seen strictly within the parameters of SAARC and an opportunity for India to raise its concerns on terrorism, and all countries to raise their concerns, but for India in particular as well?
Yeah, I mean, first thing, it isn't yet a news in Pakistan. I don't think it's been reported anywhere, unfortunately. Maybe by tomorrow, if it does come out in India, then it might be reported here in Pakistan. So this is the first time that we're hearing from your sources that this is a decision that has been taken. But having said that, I would agree with KC that I think it should be looked at quite literally as a multilateral visit and not a bilateral visit, because obviously the context is SAARC, and that is where Pakistan also wishes to keep it, and that is where I think India would also like to perhaps keep it, simply because of the fact that India has been denying any option or any opportunity of a direct bilateral talks between India and Pakistan for quite some time. Pakistan also very recently declared through its defense minister that Pakistan would not engage with India directly in any kind of a discussion till the atrocities in Kashmir are brought to some level of human respect and dignity. So this was a remark that he made, in fact a long interview that he gave a couple of days back. So I think in that atmosphere, in that sort of ambience, it's very difficult for them to engage bilaterally. Having said that, SAARC has a number of other issues that they need to look at. Obviously the instrument that Casey mentioned in terms of fighting terrorism, whether it's 1987 and whether that can be brought up to speed now, I think it's very valid, very objective, and especially when India and Pakistan are not talking to each other, perhaps SAARC, a multilateral forum like SAARC could be used where South Asian countries can get together. Just as India might have complaints on Pakistan or Afghanistan might have complaints on Pakistan, Pakistan will surely have things to say to India as well as Afghanistan in terms of what they're doing in Karachi and Balochistan especially. So in that sense, so it's kind of a talking about the situation as it exists in the region, and then using all the minds available to try and see if there's a possibility to move forward. As far as bilateral situation goes, I don't think India and Pakistan have done well enough in the last 20 years. 10, 15 years especially, and I don't see them moving forward very quickly because of the number of complexities that have risen in the relationship.
Samit, let me come to you on that, because we saw only months earlier where the Prime Minister did reach out, and as I mentioned, he was in Lahore, and so much has changed in the last few months. Is there a sense within the government here and the BJP summit that it's going to be very difficult to move ahead with Pakistan at the moment, bilaterally?
See, as far as Pakistan and the Pakistan policy is concerned, this government is quite consistent about it, and it follows three principles. Principle number one is that we want peace. India wants peace with Pakistan, and dialogue is the way forward. Second is, well, we want dialogue, but talks and terror cannot move together. That is principle number two. And the principle number three is, well, we want dialogue which has to have no terrorism around it, but it has to be only bilateral, no third player. And all these are sequential in the sense that dialogue has to be without terrorism, and then dialogue has to be only bilateral. So this is the consistent principle which this government follows. As far as the Prime Minister's reaching out policy for Pakistan was concerned, we saw as to how Prime Minister last December Mr. Modi went to Pakistan, he shook hands with Nawaz Sharif, he shared a good occasion with Nawaz Sharif, but the backstabbing was soon to follow, was quick to follow. On 1st of January, Pathankot happened, and thereafter we had seen as to how Mr. Nawaz Sharif has openly supported, rather he has chosen to borrow words from terrorists. Whatever Hafiz Saeed is saying, today we are astonished that Mr. Nawaz Sharif is echoing the words of Mr. Hafiz Saeed. And despite the fact that Mr. Rajnath Singh is going to Pakistan to participate in a multilateral talk. Remember, it's a SAARC platform, and SAARC has been extremely important as far as India is concerned. When you're also aware of the fact that Bangladesh, which is also one of the important members of SAARC, has suffered a recent attack in Dhaka, and as to how the Home Minister of Bangladesh has named Pakistan also. So all these things would be important issues which may come up as far as the platform of SAARC is concerned. But we also have to borrow from what the Prime Minister recently said in one of his interviews, that as far as Pakistan is concerned, India's efforts have been appreciated internationally, and Pakistan has been exposed.
Since terrorism is such an important element of this relationship, and India has genuine concerns over that, since Mr. Rajnath Singh is going in any case, and I know it's not being ruled out, though officially today we've been told on record that there won't be a bilateral meeting, why not use this visit to Pakistan to confront the Pakistani Home Minister and say this is India's concerns up front, this is what we feel needs to be done, and this is where we feel Pakistan needs to act, and reiterate that? Why not have that bilateral meeting and have that engagement? Why stop short of it?
See, in fact, I as a spokesperson of the party should not jump my gun and speak beyond what the government has already briefed you about. Secondly, as far as a hypothetical situation is concerned, as far as confrontation is concerned, I would say on 2 occasions recently, the government of India has confronted Pakistan. On one occasion, when MEA, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, reacted very sharply to the comments made by Nawaz Sharif. When Nawaz Sharif said that Kashmir will become a part of Pakistan, there was a sharp reaction and criticism from Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, who categorically mentioned that till the end of this world, this would only remain wishful thinking of Mr. Nawaz Sharif. And on the floor of Parliament, when the monsoon session began, none other than the Home Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, categorically said that Pakistan is the one which is trying to propagate terrorism on Indian soil, and India is not going to take this lightly.
So you're saying
So
India has relayed its message. You're saying India has relayed its message. I want to ask the Congress party as well that can there be at least political support on this, Priyanka, for the position that the government is taking on it? Because unfortunately foreign policy has got very politically, we've seen polarization over that as well. But does the Congress support the Home Minister's visit?
See, anyone who has a pragmatic point of view as far as foreign policy is concerned, someone who has worked in those areas, would tell you that dialogue is the only way ahead to solve issues that concern Pakistan. And we have consistently maintained that it is the inconsistency from the government of the day that speaks loudly. You cannot be hawkish inside the parliament. You cannot be hawkish on news, television debates. And while and then behave like doves when you're traveling to Pakistan. So the inconsistency is jarring. He speaks about sending a strong message out to Pakistan, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson. I have seen the same very spokesperson taking a very hawkish stand on probably another news channel which doesn't want any dialogue with Pakistan or anything to do with Pakistan. So you cannot have inconsistencies as far as Pakistan policies are concerned, and you haven't even yet called the Pakistani High Commissioner and sounded him out about the issues that upset you, issues that are creating problems between the India-Pakistan dialogue. We are seeing how you consistently blaming, you're talking about Kashmir, Pakistan's involvement in Kashmir, yet you haven't spoken to the Pakistani High Commissioner about it. So there is one thing about taking a hawkish stand inside the parliament. It's totally another story altogether outside the parliament and outside news television channel debates where you all behave like doves. So the inconsistency rather is pretty jarring. You have to be pretty consistent where you stand as far as Pakistan is concerned. If you talk about no tolerance to terror, then that is a message you need to categorically convey to Pakistan through their High Commissioner in India, or through your dialogues that you all are pursuing, or through your whatever second track diplomacy.
Before I get somebody to respond to that, I think the reason why the government hasn't involved the Pakistani High Commissioner in the Jammu and Kashmir issue is because India doesn't see what it sees as an internal matter as something that it needs to involve the Pakistani envoy. You're talking about terrorism, yes, but Ambassador Singh, then taking off from this and looking ahead, given the kind of sharp exchanges we've seen in recent weeks in particular, and Sushma Swaraj's attack on Nawaz Sharif was scathing. It was, and Samit made a reference to it, it was a very direct attack on Nawaz Sharif himself. Where do you see things going from here? How, it really does, as Shahzad Chaudhary says, it looks very, very bleak at the moment.
While there will always be domestic compulsions, but I think that kind of language is avoidable because if we must keep a line open to the elected government. If our argument is that army are the bad guys in that country and the civilian government are just victims of whatever the army does, then certainly logic demands that we keep a line open to the government, however weak it is, however much under the influence of the army they are still an elected government. And adding insult to injury that a foreign minister should be attacking the Prime Minister of a neighboring country, it's not a proper way to approach it, because then you're shutting windows. That's not a proper thing. Megaphone diplomacy is not desirable. In the public space, we can give a sharp reaction. The spokesman of the ministry should have rejected it, what Pakistan said, but we need not directly attack anyone, because then retracing steps becomes very difficult, and when you retrace them, public opinion starts asking what has happened in the interregnum that now you're retracing. For instance, next there is the summit in Pakistan. Will Prime Minister go there? Will Prime Minister not go there? The public opinion in India would have to be prepared for it either way.